Good evening and welcome everyone to this meeting of Cheltenham Borough Council's Cabinet. I am Councillor Robina Hay, Leader of the Council. We don't have, so any members of the public that are watching the live stream of the meeting on the Council's YouTube channel, this meeting is recorded will be held for the next 4 years. We don't have any public present. But there is, as you all know, CCTV and audio recordings in operation in the foyers and the public gallery. And we're not expecting a fire alarm test. So if the alarm does sound, make your way as swiftly as possible to the nearest fire exit. I've got apologies tonight from Councillor Telford. And I actually, at this point, will just say he's not here for a very good reason. He's on his second week of paternity leave. And welcome to the world for his daughter, for Isaac and Sophie. I'm looking to members, any declarations of interest for tonight's agenda? No. So we've got two sets of minutes of the last meeting, one from the 16th of December last year. Has any member got any comments on that one at all? No. Could I see a show of hands to approve those minutes and I can sign them? Thank you all very much. And then we also have a set of minutes for the 23rd of December. And I know that not all Cabinet were here then. So for those that were here, could I see a show of hands? I should ask actually, is there any comments? But no. So could I see a show of hands from those who were here on that time? Flo, I can't remember. Were you here on the 23rd of December? No. So I'll sign both those sets. Minutes. So we don't have any public and member questions and we don't have any petitions. We also don't have any referrals from Council Overview and Scrutiny or any of the other committees that have been referred to us, which leads us on to the meat of the evening, really, and the reports. So our first report tonight is the domestic abuse policy, which we've all had and has been shared, and that will be, I'll invite Councillor Atherstone to introduce that.
Thank you, Leader. Devastatingly, domestic abuse remains a significant societal issue affecting 2.3 million people aged 16 and over and continues to disproportionately affect women and girls. Last year, Gloucestershire County Council published their Tackling Domestic Abuse strategy, and I was really pleased to attend their informative launch event. Their strategy provided excellent recommendations, which we've now signed up to, for how local authorities such as Cheltenham can improve our domestic abuse policy so that it aligns to the broader county goals. This includes a Cheltenham-specific delivery plan and to support its implementation and obtaining the Domestic Abuse Housing Alliance accreditation. Although domestic abuse is already addressed in the Council's safeguarding policy, due to the reintegration of housing services, it's important we have a separate domestic abuse policy to deliver against our statutory duties and to safeguard tenants, staff and elected members and to provide safe housing and workplace environments. Our policy provides clear guidance to both council staff and elected members for how to support and report domestic abuse in any form, including violence inside and outside of the home, misogyny, support for children and young people, honour-based abuse, forced marriage, and child-to-parent abuse. This policy also encourages working with local businesses to ensure appropriate workplace policies are in place. It also confirms the Council will treat all reports of domestic abuse within our housing stock as a high priority, ensuring trained staff follow established protocols and refer victims to specialist agencies as required for support such as Gloucestershire Domestic Abuse Support Services, known as GDAS. The policy also sets out how tenants can report abuse through safe and confidential communication channels. Domestic abuse training will be available to all council staff and elected members, and all training will be at different levels and types dependent on the needs of the various job roles and responsibilities and positions. And I'd like to encourage all members to ensure this training is completed and on a regular basis. If you would like to review the recommendations as set out with the report, set out for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Atherstone. Do any members have any comments that they wish to make on this report tonight? Councillor Clucas.
Thank you, Leader. Just to say thank you to Councillor Atherstone and officers for working on this, because in housing it is becoming increasingly clear that we need to do target hardening on our properties to make sure that those who are the victims of domestic abuse actually are better protected. And I'm pleased to say that is one of the things we are doing right now. And thank you for the work you've done. It's very much appreciated. And I look forward to working with you and officers in relation to making life safer for those who are victims. Thank you.
Any other member? No, it's good to see us aligned on, or aligned as a county on something as important as this. So it's a welcome addition to strengthen, what we already had, but to align with the wider county is good. Can I see a show of hands to approve the report as the recommendations say? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. So our next agenda item today is, I'm looking forward to, having read it, but I'm looking forward to hearing from Councillor Collins on this piece of work that on our Cheltenham tree strategy.
Thank you, Leader. Are you ready? Okay. It really is my pleasure to present Cheltenham Borough Council's first ever tree strategy. I don't know how many reports, policies or strategies I've presented over the years, but this one must easily be my favourite. It's not very often that the Cabinet Member for Planning and Building Control gets to present something that is nice, soft and cuddly and not at all contentious. As you can see, it includes tree management policies that guide how we care for and maintain trees under council ownership, as well as a tree in planning action plan. This outlines how we can engage with the planning process and improve stakeholder engagement to protect existing trees and promote planting new ones through development. Now, Cheltenham Borough Council manages and is responsible for a huge stock of trees in the town, and it is felt that the need for such a strategy has become increasingly relevant, considering the ever-growing challenges that include things like climate change, which brings more extreme weather and increased pressure on urban ecosystems, resource constraints, including funding and officer capacity, community pressures such as rising public expectations for tree planting and protection, concerns over tree-related risks, and the need to balance development with environmental stewardship. I hope that you will agree that by introducing and implementing this strategy, it will strengthen the impact that our beautiful trees have on us all. I also hope that you have had a chance to read the strategy itself, which is contained between pages 77 and 132 of this report. It contains loads of interesting information, facts and figures, as well as an introduction from me. I hope that you have all enjoyed reading it as much as I did. This strategy contains two recommendations, namely that Cabinet approves the Cheltenham Tree Strategy and delegate to the Director of Planning and Building Control, who is with us here this evening, in consultation with myself, the Cabinet Member for Planning and Building Control, for any minor amendments prior to publication, and to delegate to the Director of Planning and Building Control, and in consultation again with myself, any amendments arising from future reviews of the tree strategy to ensure that it remains relevant and up to date as a management tool. I hope that you are all able to support these recommendations, and if anyone does have any questions, we will do our best to answer them. Thank you.
Any member? I can see Councillor Baker, I can see Councillor Atherstone, Councillor Pinniger.
It came home to me when I was mayor, the importance and significance of trees in our town, because on our crest, we actually have trees. And I think we really do have to be very, very grateful to generations before us who had the insight to plant these wonderful trees that we see down the promenade, through the window there in Royal Well. But there is a misconception that there is a perception that we have a lot of trees in Cheltenham, and indeed we do, but it's where they are which is the misconception, because there are huge parts of the town which have very little tree canopy. And one of the biggest things that this strategy is addressing is the imbalance in the tree canopy cover from the east of the town to the west of the town. Certainly some big chunks of in St Mark's, Hester's Way, there's very, very few trees, whereas you go into parts of All Saints and my ward, lots of lovely trees. So I think that for me, the biggest thing about this strategy is addressing the tree canopy distribution going forward, and an emphasis on tree planting in parts of town which are devoid of it now. And we all know the benefits of these trees. One of the biggest benefits is shade. Imagine that promenade with no trees. You know, in the summer months, it will be unbearable. Pitfield Park, likewise. So it's a fantastic strategy. There's lots more in it besides, but I just wanted to draw attention to that tree canopy issue, which I think is really important. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Actually, I was going to say exactly the same as Councillor Baker, pretty much, in that what I found most insightful is the audit of the tree coverage across Cheltenham, and that I was quite surprised to see that St Peter's is kind of sparse in terms of canopy coverage. When you walk down Arle Road, you know, you kind of think that it's kind of lots of trees in the ward. So I'm really super pleased that the areas with the least amount of tree coverage are going to have special focus. It's great. So thank you for this strategy.
Councillor Pinniger.
Well, for me, I think I've always been very keen on nature and trees, pretty much my whole life. When I moved here, I live in St Mark's, where we don't have the canopy. I did cycle in big loops, trying to find my nearest copse of trees so that I could go and hang out among trees. A bit weird, but that's what I did. And the nearest place is actually down on the Honeybourne line. So I like to go down there sometimes and just sit, check my emails amongst the trees down there. It's always confused me throughout my working life that I've worked on a lot of industrial estates, and I've noticed that industrial estates do not seem to value tree cover at all, and indeed the ones along Tewkesbury Road don't really have any trees to speak of. Maybe they're just young. So I did feel that maybe the population at large didn't value them in the way that I did. So to see this tree strategy today and to understand that the people around me at least are mad keen on trees and love them as much as I do, it's an absolute joy. So thank you for putting this forward. Thank you.
Any other member? Do you want to... Councillor Baker.
I just would like to say thank you, actually, to all the officers that have been involved, particularly Chris and Sam. And we are blessed in Cheltenham to have two superb tree officers who probably know every single tree in our town. They are incredible. And also, I did attend the very first meeting that they had in formulating the strategy, where we had a really full chamber here from the county councils to local friends groups and so on. And there's a really good interaction and an exchange of ideas, which was setting the agenda for this policy, this strategy. Thank you.
Councillor Collins, do you want to come back?
Yes, thank you, if I may. Thank you for those kind words from everybody. And of course, we've got two very, very passionate officers in that department. But coming back to Councillor Pinniger, we do value trees in this town because we've kept up the ancient oaks in the Golden Valley development, and we've actually redesigned the innovation centre to make sure that we did keep those trees. And when I was reading through this myself, I was struck about the canopy cover point that's been raised as well, because overall it's only 9% in Cheltenham. You look out the windows and you think, my God, look at all these trees, but only 9%. I mean, surely we can do better than that. And the last thing I wanted to say is, obviously being a cabinet member, I get those really awful, sad emails from the team saying, sorry, but we're going to have to remove this tree for whatever reason. And it brings a tear to my eye. It really does. But thank you anyway.
Well, hopefully you will have dried your tears, Councillor Collins. And can I see a show of hands to support the recommendations, please, as set out? Thank you very much. That's a unanimous. Our next agenda item is, it's quite exciting really for Leckhampton and Warden Hill. They've worked very hard and for a very long time at bringing this to council. But so it's the Leckhampton with Warden Hill neighbourhood plan and the examiner's report. And I think that's the important thing. I'll come to you, Councillor Collins, in a moment, but it's important to remember that this is the report of the independent examiner that we are looking at tonight. Councillor Collins.
Once again, thank you, Leader. Now, I must say that in presenting this report, it's not quite as soft and cuddly as the last one, but nevertheless, it's still extremely important. This report, as the Leader has pointed out, deals with the Leckhampton with Warden Hill Neighbourhood Development Plan, which underwent an independent examination following the appointment of the independent examiner in July of 2025. The examination is now concluded and the examiner's report has been received. The examiner found that with proposed modifications, the plan does meet the necessary basic conditions and recommends that it can go forward to referendum, which sounds really exciting, doesn't it? Therefore, in accordance with the relevant legislation placed on Cheltenham Borough Council as the local planning authority, Cabinet, that's all of us, must now consider what action to take in response to the examiner's recommendations. Council has a valid neighbourhood planning protocol revised again in March 2025, which sets out that the approval of neighbourhood plan or order for referendum stage is for the Cabinet to decide whether it accepts the examination report in full or in part, and that the plan can proceed to referendum. So, in this case, I am happy with our officers' recommendations and the agreement that they have made in accepting the examiner's recommendations in full, because there were some changes. In carrying out this process, it has been a long and sometimes painful process, taking up a large amount of officer time and resource, so that I would therefore like to thank the officer team for getting us to this stage. The examiner's report is contained in full within this document, between pages 149 and 198. It contains a huge amount of information, including amendments proposed by the parish council themselves, our own officers' responses to those suggested amendments, and the final examiner's response to all of those suggestions. There was a lot to read and to understand. However, you are therefore asked to agree to the following recommendations, namely that Cabinet accepts the examiner's recommendations and the modifications to this report on the Leckhampton with Warden Hill Neighbourhood Development Plan, that you also agree that a referendum version of the plan be produced, incorporating the examiner's modifications together with consequential and other minor corrections for accuracy, and that it indeed can proceed to a referendum. It delegates authority to the Director of Planning and Building Control, in consultation with myself, the Cabinet Member for Planning and Building Control, to prepare the required decision statement for publication. Now, I hope that you are all able to support these recommendations, as I do. If anyone does have any questions, again, we will do our best to answer them. Thank you.
Any member? Councillor Atherstone.
I think this is a really exciting. Sorry, Mike, you've got
That's
it.
me, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I think this is a really exciting opportunity, and it's great to see it take this leap forward. I know how important neighbourhood plans can be for local communities to have a good say about what happens in their area. So I think absolutely I'm supportive of moving forward with this.
Councillor Baker.
Thank you. Well, as Liberal Democrats, we're always really keen on devolving decision-making and influence and policy to the lowest level that we possibly can. And I think this neighbourhood plan is a really good example of that, where, and the parish council are to be hugely congratulated. This is a big, big chunk of work that they've undertaken. And I know there's been a lot of support from our officers, as Councillor Collins said, but nevertheless, they have undertaken an awful lot of work to their credit. So I've read the report with interest, and obviously the examiner had a number of observations to make, which would be foolish not to take on board, given she is the examiner. And so therefore I'm really delighted to support this. And I think it would be a mistake, I think, to defer this now, to look at some of these suggestions, then go back out to the examiner, potentially delaying this thing, which has already taken 4 years, even further. So I think now it's great that we can hopefully move ahead with this. It can go out to the referendum, fantastic opportunity for engagement with that community. And then as soon as it's adopted, of course, having had an adopted neighbourhood plan, I understand that the percentage of receipts from Silman that go to parish councils goes up from 15% to 25%. So there's a significant revenue benefit to having a neighbourhood plan. So I think all the work will be very well invested in, and hopefully a really good result. Thank you.
Councillor Pinniger.
As a cabinet member for the climate emergency, I'm very happy to see policy LWH7 in there about flooding. I know that Leckhampton and Warden Hill Parish Council have done a huge amount of work on flooding, surveys, regular meetings with council staff, and a lot of work has gone into that policy. The amendments read fine, and it will be really good to get this into operation. So I just wanted to put that in.
Thank you, members. I can't see any other member indicating, so can I see a show of hands to approve the recommendations as they are set out? Was that I should have come back to you. That was unanimous. Thank you. Our next report of the evening is that of the e-bike and battery safety policy, and this is about our own tenants, and it's the report of Councillor Clucas.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, this is in relation to our own tenants who may have e-bikes. And because concerns have become much more over the last year or so, one of the things that we have looked at is the fact that there have been 4 fires in relation to e-bikes in our properties. They were caused because tenants left their bikes on charge but didn't have the proper charging equipment. They'd bought it cheaply, plugged it in, went to bed, and bang, there was a fire. And in this instance, we are saying to our tenants, you can't do this. You have to have the correct equipment in order to charge your bike. It has to be in your flat or your house. And please do not charge it while you're asleep. Charge it during the day, because then if anything happens, you will be awake and you will be able to counter any problems. So that is what the report is actually about. Each tenant will be issued with a notification as to how they can actually make their home safer when they're charging bikes. And if they don't do it, then we will take action in relation to their not doing it so that no one is put at risk. And I say that because I want tenants to know this is not something you can simply write off, brush away. No, this is important, and tenants are responsible for ensuring they do things properly, which actually, to be honest, at the Housing Committee, tenants agreed, which was great. And the tenants panel, they agreed, which was great, because they understand what can happen if you don't do things in a way that keeps you and other people safe. So that's what this is about, Leader, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Councillor Pinniger.
I just wanted to say from a climate point of view that the use of rechargeable vehicles, scooters, bikes, is very important and allows many young people as well as others to get across town to work when it would mean 2-3 buses to get where they need to get. So I'm really pleased that we've got a policy that will be well communicated, will keep people safe, follows the fire services recommendations, and is going to go to every tenant. So this is a fantastic piece of work, and I'm glad it's going to be out there, and hopefully there will be no more fires.
If I may, Chair, just to respond, the work that's been done with the fire service by officers has been super. And through you, Chair, I'd like to thank the officers for the work that's been done on this, because I think it's a really good and important piece of work. And thank you for your comments, Councillor Finnegan.
Thank you, Councillor Clucas. Can I see a show of hands, please? That's unanimous support. Our next agenda item is, obviously, it's here tonight for us as Cabinet members to approve, and that's the final general fund review and the capital budget proposals. So it's us to approve today, and then it will go on to Council on Friday. And it's the report of Councillor Jeffreys.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, colleagues, gives me the great privilege to present to you the General Fund Revenue and Capital Final Budget Proposals for 2026-2027. And I'm not going to say much more than that, because in 3 days' time, we're debating it at full council. So really and truly, it leaves me just to say there is the report and the associated paperwork, and I'm happy to take any questions. Oh, no, I have one thing to say. Beg your pardon. There's a typo, which, given the size of the pack, I'm not surprised, to be fair, but forgive me, at Appendix 4, there's a typo, and it should read 1,053,750. So that's been amended for the council meeting. So just to make you aware of that, colleagues. And I'll have to take any questions, Leader. Thank you.
Does any member have any questions on the budget? We're all going to keep up. Yes, Councillor Pinniger.
Not a question, just to say I listened to the audit committee last night, and that is a really powerful committee that did a very thorough examination. I was pleased to hear the responses from the external auditors and also from the officers, and it gave me quite some confidence that this is a good budget, and that I'm very comfortable to put it forward. Thank you.
Any other member? No, I'll come back to Councillor Jeffreys.
Thank you. That does jog my memory, actually. Thank you, Councillor Pinniger. Yeah, I should also put on my record Budget Scrutiny Working Group as well, because we have a lot of members across the council that scrutinise the budget or scrutinise the aftermath of the budget. So, yeah, in case I forget at the council meeting on Friday, put on record my thanks to all those members that have an input or a bearing on the budget. Thank you, Leader.
Can I see a show of hands, please, to approve that, to go on to full council? Yeah, that's unanimous. And our final agenda item today is that of the HRA budget. Councillor Jeffreys.
Thank you, Leader. Again, it's my privilege to present this evening the Housing Revenue Account final budget proposals for 2026-27 and the revised forecast for 25-26. Colleagues, you'll know the housing services journey we've been on over the last year or two. And this budget, again, reinforces the need to have a secure HRA. I'm not going to say much more, because obviously we've got this going to full council again. I would like to put on record my thanks to the Housing Committee and Councillor Clucas for your hard work in this area, because you're the cabinet lead, as you know, but also for the tenant engagement we've managed to ramp up over the years. So that's all I'm going to say now. I'm happy to take any questions, Leader, if need be.
Can I see a show of hands to send this on to full council, please? That's unanimous. So that's all of the reports concluded for tonight. I will go around the room to see whether any members have got any cabinet member briefings that they wish to give. Councillor Collins. Councillor Atherstone.
Yes, thank you, Leader. I've had quite an eventful past couple of months. First of all, to mention that we've launched our new youth cafe, and that is taking place at Smoky Joe's on Bennington Street. The first week that it opened, we had 20 odd young people arrive, which was a promising. Is everything okay? Yeah. Oh, sorry, apologies. 20 odd people, which was a great promising start. And last week I heard that there was more than 30 young people. So that is fantastic. And that's going to continue for a number of weeks until early April. I was also really thrilled to attend the Cheltenham Education Partnership event in partnership with Lives of Colour, with 10 schools, all 10 senior schools in Cheltenham participated to focus on race equity, and listening to the comments and ideas and presentations of the young people was incredibly incredibly insightful, and I came back with pages and pages of notes and ideas. So I really want to thank the organisers and thank the young people for that. We had our NCLB Awards, which was awesome. We had 250 guests that completely filled up Cheltenham Town Hall. And we had some fantastic performances by Belmont School Choir and the Youth Education, Everyman Theatre Education Group, which is fantastic. And just celebrating all the amazing work that goes on in our community, thanks to all of our organisations that work day in, day out, year on year with our young people. So huge thank you to them. We also had fantastic response with regards to our air quality consultation. We had hundreds of responses. I was really impressed. So thanks to everybody who responded to that, and that's going to form a fantastic basis to form our new air quality strategy on later on in the year. It was a really very thought-provoking and quite a sombre event, but really appreciate the organisers who put on here at the Council Chamber Holocaust Memorial Day, an act of remembrance. It certainly gave us a reminder about how important it is that we love and respect one another. And that's the end of my updates. Thank you.
Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Leader. Just a few things, really. Just to confirm that we'll be rolling out the curbside collection of Tetra Paks from April. So that's a really positive thing to be reporting back now, and that'll go out across the whole town. And also expanding the curbside collection of flexi plastics, which has been trialled now for a year or so in, I think, parts of Ben Hall. So the plan with that is to roll that out ward by ward around the town, so we can monitor uptake and manage the whole process. Households will obviously be notified, and they will be getting us a roll of bags for the to put the flexi plastic in. So that's two really good initiatives, I think, from this council, expanding our curbside recycling offer. Obviously, we've had the closure of these Bring Bank site down at Sainsbury's, which is a disappointment, and we're struggling at the moment to find an alternative site in that part of town. We're still looking. I have been in communication with Tesco, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of positivity coming back to that. And to be honest, when you look at the way some people treat our Bring Banks, leaving all sorts of fly tipping and stuff around them, it's hardly a good reason, an easy sell, to go to a retailer or a landowner to say, can we have a Bring Bank on your site? So I would encourage people to use them respectfully, because they are really important assets to our town. So we continue to look for more sites. Which brings me on to the HRC, the Household Recycling Centre, and obviously now, which is a county council responsibility, but we're waiting, hopefully by the end of the month, we're going to be getting an options report from the county council, setting out potential opportunities at Swindon Road to provide an HRC, which may be like a fully fledged GCC one, or more like the one we had before, or more by like just a bring bank site. So we wait with interest that report, and obviously hopefully there'll be some good news there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a GCC responsibility, and they have to fund it. But I did notice in their budget they have £3.5 million allocated for HRC, so perhaps some of that might be allocated towards Cheltenham. The Ubico crews have been busy doing all the gullies now, so I think most of the gullies around our town should have been swept of leaf accumulations. If not, let us know. So they've been working hard on that, working hard in the parks, as you all have seen. And the Green Spaces team, the new Romas group, which I've referred to before, which is a sort of a fledgling group of people who go from different parts of the town. We were out in St Peter's this week planting a hedge just behind the moors. We're out in Springfield Park, I think tomorrow and later on in the week. So there's lots of stuff going on with our friends teams, and we are also continuing our investment in our allotments. Improvements are going on at a number of allotments, Midwinters, Hayden Lane, and one of the things we are doing is increasing the number of plots available, because we have a long waiting list for people wanting allotments. So we're actually using up some of the space on those allotments, which is not currently being utilised, to create new plots, which I think is a really positive thing. As well as that, we're investing in improved security on some of the sites as well. So lots of good stuff going on. And I think, the other thing I wanted to mention was the new SUDS scheme, which has been implemented in Elmfield. We're going to a launch of that on Thursday. But a great scheme which has involved the local community down in Elmfield there in St Paul's, which will hopefully make the recreational area there much more usable all year round, with the water being drained off into the new SUDS scheme. So yeah, lots of good stuff. Thank you.
Councillor Clucas.
Just a quickie, Leader. As colleagues will know, one of the things that I have been involved with is to ensure that our tenants and our residents are safe, and that women feel that they can do things, not be separated from them. And it gives me huge pleasure to be able to talk about what we do in Cheltenham to help our girls and our women. And it's great to be asked to do that, not just here in England, but elsewhere. And with your consent, at our next Cabinet meeting, I will actually do a report so that colleagues will know how Cheltenham is being broadcast, not just in the UK, but elsewhere.
Thank you, Councillor Clucas. Councillor Pinniger. We'll take that offline, Councillor Clucas. I wasn't ignoring it. I thought about it, but Councillor Pinniger.
Just a couple of things from me. I've now assumed the role of chair of the Climate Leadership Gloucestershire group, and that we had a vote at the AGM in this chamber a couple of weeks ago, and have decided to make that role 12 months at a time. So for the next year, I'm going to be chair. It's a power grab, but it's an administrative role, not a strategic role. I've also, with the Secretariat of Cabinet Leadership Gloucestershire, set up bi-monthly Cabinet member and officers meetings so that the Secretariat, myself and the climate officers at Cheltenham can all get together and discuss how we carry out our respective action plans, so we can work with them and the other districts to really accelerate reduction in carbon emissions. We'll be reviewing the action plan soon, now that we have Mark, the new manager, on board and up to speed. We've accepted funding for the next stage of the heat network, which is more of a detailed design, but not all the way to, I'm not, the details are a bit hazy for me, but it's a more detailed design. It's the next stage before we can launch an actual project, if that's the finding. And then in terms of funding, I attended a lovely event at Leckhampton High School with 6 schools in attendance, and it was a kind of Dragon's Den where we awarded up to £250 for school children to carry out environmental schemes at their own schools. And that was a great afternoon. And I think we awarded some money to all of the schools that attended. Then there was also a Climate Leadership Gloucestershire Fund, and Isabel from our climate team managed to secure the money to develop a software package that's going to help SMEs decarbonise, because at the moment we feel like we give them an audit and then we leave them, then we audit them again a year later, but they don't have that direction. So this software is going to assist them in putting in a pathway. And if it's successful, we could use it on our partners through procurement and all other organisations. And finally, we have organised another heat pump demo at Lidl. So we're continuing with the resident engagement as well as the business engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Finnegan. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Leader. Firstly, I need to book into this heat pump demo at Lidl. I'm very excited. What a place to have a heat pump demo. But I'm, however, really excited to be able to bring you the best news. I was absolutely delighted that we managed to get planning permission for our 70 new energy efficiency homes on the former Monkscroft school site. So we're turning a school site, which is sadly no longer in use, including some playing fields, into a fantastic collection of new affordable homes. So the scheme includes lots of different houses, from sort of 1-bedroom flats all the way through to 5-bedroom properties. And the mix was very much decided based on our existing shortages when it comes to the wait list. One of the great things about Cheltenham Borough Council being able to lead on these kind of projects and build our own is that we can look at our shortages in the wait list and we look at the problems we're facing and the things that really impact our tenants and say, okay, we're going to build what people need, not just what the private market might naturally supply. So it's a 100% affordable development with mixed tenure, social rent and shared ownership. So it's going to be a fantastic little community, including a bunch of new green space, which I think will be lovely. At the moment, the green space is inaccessible, which I think is a terrible shame. We're going to have a green promenade for travelling through the area, a little growing area for people to do their own sort of local farming, and a big new recreational space in the middle. So it's a beautiful little development. I'm so excited for it, including our supported habitats. So all our natural friends will have somewhere to live as well, creating a lot of homes with this development. So lower cost to rent or buy, lower cost to live in, because the energy efficiency will just be that good. Huge thanks to our office team, Dorda and Martin in particular, who do an incredible amount of work getting this over the line. And on the other side of the firewall, I can also thank our good friends in planning who gave us the robust treatment we know, love and respect a great deal. So very excited to see this clear planning process.
Councillor Jeffries, follow that.
Well, Leader, finance touches everything, really, so I should take credit for the lot, shouldn't I? But I won't. I'll save my powder for Friday's meeting. Nothing, thank you, at this time.
So I've just got one very quick one that I would, so, and please do all of you participate in this. So there's a report going, there'll be an updated report for coming to council on Friday, but we've actually gone live today with the local governance review consultation. So please do have a look and encourage your residents to respond, because we need that feedback, and we want people to, we really do want our residents to tell us what they want to see happen next when we don't exist in a few years' time. That was the only update. So that's from myself this week. The only other remaining item is our Section 7 and its decisions of Cabinet members. So of which there are quite a few, because they go back to December. They are all published on the website, but we need to ratify them and just announce them publicly. So the first one was the 16th of December. Councillor Baker?
Yeah, I've got quite a few here, so shall I just run through them?
Yes.
Linda? I mean, they all relate to the replacement, the budgeted replacement of machinery which is used to maintain our parks and gardens and keep our streets tidy. So we're looking at cage tipping vehicle, forklifts, which obviously work in the down at the depot, sweepers, road sweepers, speaks for themselves. There's also an item 4 there, which relates to health and safety improvements taking place down at the Swindon Road depot as well. That's all mine, the first 4. Shall I go on to my other ones?
Yes, so you've got also one at
Yeah.
number 8.
Number 8. Yeah, number 8 is actually not costing any money at all. Councillor Jeffries, you'll be pleased to hear. But this is the declaration of a new National Nature Reserve, the Cheltenham Escarpment National Nature Reserve. This is a real feather in our cap, and perhaps I shouldn't be talking about it in great detail. But there are going to be 25 new National Nature Reserves declared over the next 3 years. And we are up there with one of the first ones. And this is going to be announced or officially opened in, I think it's June or July. So it's really exciting for us to be nationally recognised. It's also actually great reward for one of the Friends groups, the Friends of Leckhampton Hill and Charlton Kings Common Folk, who have done so much work in that area of our town for many, many, many years. And I think that helps contribute to getting these sorts of designations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. I made a decision on the 19th of December. I mean, as you know, we all have we do have to use agency staff from time to time. So I've made a decision to enter into contract with Tarnhill Interim and Executive Limited for the purposes of engaging those agency staff. The next decision was that of Councillor Jeffries on the 31st of December.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, on the 31st December, I just want to just pause there for a second. But yeah, I did decide to renew the lease of St James's car park, or lease land at St James's car park. Thank you, Leader.
There's a few here for Councillor Atherstone. Do you want to rattle through those?
Thank you, Leader. Yes, I'd like to thank Helen for working with our Green Space volunteers who made some recommendations as to the template partnership agreement, and that has now been updated. Then there was also proposals and consultation with the taxi trade, looking at the taxi fare increases. And I'm really grateful to the taxi trade for working with us in making sure that those increases were fair for both the trade and for residents and visitors utilising taxis in Cheltenham. Then there was also the brilliant opportunity to judge alongside the panel all the applications that we had for the Community Pride Fund for 2025. Massively oversubscribed as per usual, but I'm really pleased. We had some really, really strong applications come through, and all the successful applicants have been notified. And finally, we have had some poor antisocial behaviour in a part of St Mark's, which the police have been supporting us with, and we now have a consultation going out on the variation to Public Spaces Cheltenham Order 2023. That's it from me. Thank you.
And finally, Councillor Clucas, you've got 2 decisions.
Thank you, Leader. One I'm really pleased with is the one in relation to target hardening of properties. Because what this means is that those who are subject to domestic abuse, to being made to feel frightened in their own homes, actually can have those homes made safer. And if they can have them made safer, then they're not going to have to leave to go and live somewhere else, which means that they are not going to be seen as the ones who are responsible for the domestic abuse, but as the victims, as they should. And those perpetrators will then have a difficult job in continuing that domestic abuse. And I think that's a really good thing for us to do. And I'm so, so pleased with it. In relation to the grants for other organisations, these are grants for community and other groups, which actually help our residents. And I'm very pleased that we are still able to do this when, frankly, lots of our councils in this country just don't have that ability. So it's great to be able to help our communities in this way, where they can come together, look for a little bit of cash and help that community to thrive. And I think it's great. Thank you.
Thank you all. There are no urgent items that I deem that we need to discuss. So at 10 to 7, thank you all very much for your contribution and attendance. Meeting closed.